Police held a second reading on the floor of the House of Representatives on Tuesday. In the alteration to the Constitution under consideration, a commissioner of police appointed from among the 7 policemen in the state who had the proposed state police in a long-awaited move to decentralize the Nigeria police force, which has failed to address the spiraling security crisis confronting the country. The country has been under assault by bandits, kidnappers, and other nefarious characters that daily launch violent attacks on citizens, many of whom are kidnapped, killed, or maimed. Though the police authorities had initiated various security operations and also deployed more operatives across the country to tackle the insecurity, the crime wave had yet to abate as gunmen operated freely in several urban areas and rural communities. Titled A Bill for an Act to Alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to provide for establishment of state police and related matters. The bill, sponsored by the Deputy Speaker of the House, Benjamin Kalu, and 14 others, puts the police on the concurrent list. The federal government has blamed opposition elements for the food crisis currently ravaging the country. Interestingly, this came as the government disclosed it had uncovered fresh 32 smuggling routes being used to take food items out of the country. The federal government, however, described the current economic challenges as the handwork of forces that are hell-bent on plunging the country into a state of anarchy. He blamed those who failed to clinch power in the last election for remaining in political mode and are now working against the country's interest. Speaking on Tuesday in Abuja during the inaugural Public Wealth Management Conference organized by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, President Bola Tinubu, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, said, and I quote, "Forces are hell-bent on plunging this country into a state of anarchy," end of quote. Since assuming office 9 months ago, the Tinubu administration said it had removed long-standing subsidies on petrol to save the government monies from infrastructural expansion. In Anambra State, the State House of Assembly has invited to a meeting the Commissioner for Homeland Affairs, the leadership of the Anti-Touting Squad on Onitsha Zone, special advisors to the Governor on Market and Security, and the Chairman of Bridgehead Market on Onitsha. The meeting aims to address speculation surrounding the alleged killing of one Mr. Arinze Ubunadike by members of the Anti-Touting Outfit and Market Security at Bridgehead Market on Onitsha. This development followed a presentation by the member representing Ihiala 2 constituency, Honorable Golden Ilo, who raised the issue as a matter of urgent public importance. He noted that Mr. Bunadike, a resident of Iyawa in Obaru Council area and a graduate of Nnamdi Azikiwe University who was an apprentice at Bridgehead Market on Onitsha, was reportedly killed on February 16, 2024. Honorable Ilo emphasized the need for an investigation to dispel tension and ensure accountability. Supporting the move, the member representing Obaru 1 constituency, Honorable Noble Igwe, expressed sorrow over the incident and stressed the urgency of addressing issues within the anti-touting operations. The Speaker of the House of Assembly, Right Honorable Somto Chukwudeze, called for the summoned officials to appear before the House Committee on Homeland and Boundary Matters on Thursday, February 22, 2024, to provide clarity on the matter. In another development, a bill for a law to establish the Health Facility Monitoring and Accreditation Agency 2024 and a bill for a law to provide for the prohibition of touting and related activities in all sectors in Anambra State have passed a second reading. The bills were sponsored by the Majority Leader of the House, Honorable Ikenna Ofodeme. Away from that, Anambra State, a joint security force has busted an insurgents camp in Achala headquarters of Oka North local government area. The operation, ordered by the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Aderemi Adeoye, took the insurgents by surprise as they fled with gunshot wounds, leaving trails of blood. The hoodlums had disrupted a trade-in at Achala Market the previous Monday, ordering traders to sit at home, which drew the attention of the security apparatus in the state, which made the state's police command to decide on giving them a taste of their own medicine. The operation, which was successful, led to the recovery of 5 exotic vehicles previously snatched at gunpoint. Also recovered were over 300 rounds of machine gun ammunition and 34 rounds of 7.62 millimeters ammunition for AK-47 rifle. All the operatives from various services have returned safely to their base. A release signed by the Anambra State Police Public Relations Officer Mr. Tochukwu Ikenga said the Commissioner of Police has directed that owners of the recovered vehicles should be contacted to come forward with proof of ownership to collect their vehicles, saying that manhunts for the fleeing insurgents will be extended to hospitals and clinics with a view to ensuring that they are brought to justice after receiving adequate treatment. Away from Anambra State and Nigeria, we move to China, where China has sharply criticized the U.S. for vetoing a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Beijing said the move sent the wrong message and effectively gave a green light to the continued slaughter. The White House said the Algerian proposed resolution would jeopardize talks to end the war. The U.S. has proposed its own temporary ceasefire resolution, which also warned Israel not to invade the city of Rafah. There has been widespread condemnation of the U.S. decision to block Algeria's resolution as fighting continued in Gaza. It was backed by 13 of the 15 members of the UN Security Council, with the UK abstaining. Away from that, the test firing of a Trident missile from a Royal Navy submarine has failed for the second time in a row. The latest test was from HMS Vanguard off the east coast of the U.S. and was witnessed by the Defense Secretary. The missile's booster rocket failed and it landed in the sea close to the launch site, according to The Sun, which first reported the malfunction. When on patrol, the missiles would usually be armed with a nuclear warhead, but they are not fitted for test fires. This is highly embarrassing for both the UK and US manufacturer of the Trident missile. 2 men have been charged with murder for last week's deadly shooting at the Super Bowl victory parade in Kansas City. A woman died and 22 others were injured during the shooting, which police said stemmed from the 2 men arguing. The charged men, identified as Dominic Miller and Lindell Mays, were both shot and wounded during the incident. 2 teenagers were charged with resisting arrest and gun violations last week. Prosecutor Jean Peters Baker of Jackson County said at a press conference on Tuesday that the 2 men had been charged with second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and unlawful use of a weapon. A cattle ship blamed for causing a foul smell engulfing Cape Town has departed for Iraq. An animal welfare group has confirmed. The AI Kuwait ship docked in the city's harbor from Brazil on Sunday to load feed for its cargo of 19,000 cows. Residents soon began complaining of a nauseating stench emanating from it. The NSPCA assessed the cattle on board the livestock vessel and described conditions as abhorrent, including an extreme buildup of feces and urine. In a statement on Tuesday, the animal welfare organization, the National Council of Societies for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, said the cows had been on the ship for more than 2 weeks, with many animals having no option but to rest in dams of their own excrement. Interesting. Now we move to sports news, where Mikel Arteta said the dream of Arsenal winning the club's first ever Champions League at Wembley is in his players' minds as they take a long-awaited return to the knockout stages at Porto on Wednesday. Today, the Gunners have not reached the last 16 of the Champions League for 7 years and last made it to the quarterfinals back in 2010. However, they are in supreme form, having smashed 21 goals in 5 Premier League wins since returning from a 2-week winter break last month. And there is the extra card for Champions League success this season, with the final taking place in their home city of London at Wembley. Away from that, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has conducted the preliminary round draw for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON. The draw was held on Tuesday yesterday at the CAF's headquarters in Cairo, Egypt. The 8 lowest ranked team in the last FIFA ranking were involved in the preliminary round. AFCON 2025 preliminary round fixtures include first leg Somalia versus Eswatini, Sao Tome versus South Sudan, Chad versus Mauritius, Djibouti versus Liberia. Second leg, Eswatini versus Somalia, South Sudan versus Sao Tome, Mauritius versus Chad, Liberia versus Djibouti. The games will be played on a home and away basis between 20th and 26th of March 2024. The 4 preliminary round winners will join the 44 exempted teams for the group stage. Meanwhile, CAF has reached an agreement in principle for the 2025 Cup of Nations to be played in July and August next year in Morocco. Earlier this month, CAF President Patrice Motsepe refused to confirm the date of the next Africa Cup of Nations, with organizers left with a little time to stage a qualifying competition, where it to be held in January and February. Erling Haaland took Manchester City to within 1 point of Premier League leaders Liverpool, but the champions were made to sweat for a 1-0 win over Brentford on Tuesday, just 2 points separate. The top three in a fascinating title race, with Arsenal 1 point adrift of City with 13 games to go. Haaland was keen to make amends for a frustrating night in front of a goal as City were held in 1-1 at home by Chelsea on Saturday. But the Norwegian was made to wait until 19 minutes from time to break the deadlock when he raced onto Julian Alvarez's pass to slot in his 22nd goal of the season. Pep Guardiola left Kevin De Bruyne on the bench for the entire match as he manages the Belgians minutes after he missed the first of 5 months of the season due to a hamstring injury. Finally, Equatorial Guinea's Emilio Nsue, the leading goal scorer at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, has announced his retirement from international football. Nsue's retirement from the Equatorial Guinea national team comes after he was suspended by the country's football authority for misconduct. Equatorial Guinea's Vice President Theodora Nguema confirmed on Tuesday night the retirement of the 34-year-old. The prolific striker won the Golden Boot in the AFCON in the Ivory Coast after scoring 5 goals. Nsue gained widespread recognition of his impressive performance in the Ivory Coast, surprising many due to his relatively unknown status prior to the tournament. Emilio Nsue plies his trade in the Spanish 3rd Division with Intercity. With that story from sports, we'll wrap it up on News Hour today. A quick reminder of our top stories. Workers in Niger State have down tools this morning following a directive by the state chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress. The test firing of a Trident missile from a Royal Navy submarine has failed for the 2nd time in a row. Equatorial Guinea's Emilio Nsue, the leading goal scorer at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, has announced his retirement from international football. That's it on News Hour today. On behalf of the entire editorial, news and production crew, I am Chioma Victor. Stay with us here on TV Sapienza. We have other programs to make sure that you enjoy the rest of our transmission. Kindly be security conscious. Be on the alert, whatever it is you do. Ensure you are on the right path of the law. Do have a great time. Stay with us.